So today we start the very first poem, The Road Not Taken by Robert Frost. Now when it comes to a poem, what all is required? What all is necessary? You have to know your poem very well. You have to know the name of the poet too. You better remember because quite a few times the question is asked. Yes, so you have to know that. You have to know the rhyme scheme. The rhyme scheme we know, the last words rhyming. I shall be showing you the same when I continue with the poem. You have to know the rhyme scheme. You have to know your poetic devices. Your poetic devices, I mean the figures of speech. So you have to know those very well. Now remember, this module, this PPT has it all. It also has the meanings of the words. It has the definitions of your figures of speech. So you don't need to, keep searching. You can just refer to that slide and you know it all. This PPT also has the explanation to every line. Now that explanation shall help you to write your references. It shall also help you in writing your answers. So now that we start the poem, please stay glued, listen attentively till the end of the video and make sure by then your concept is absolutely clear. The poem is drilled into your mind. Why? Because we shall be going through the entire poem, the meanings, the explanation and the figures of speech. Yes? So please be there and listen attentively as we move on. Now, as always, just like we have done our lessons, we first shall know about the poet Robert Frost. The background: he was one of England's best loved poets. He made attempts to write poetry while working on a farm or teaching in a school. In 1913, his first book was published. He employed traditional patterns to write poems. His well-known poems are Stopping by Woods on a Snowy Evening. I'm sure you still remember doing this poem. We had just done it. Mending Wall, The Road Not Taken, which we are going to do right now, and many more. So first, let's go through the poem. Yeah, I shall read out the poem to you and I want you to understand while I am reading, see what you can understand out of the lines. Of course, I shall be doing the needful, but at the end of the poem. So till then, you try and ponder over every word, every line. Two roads diverged in a yellow wood, and sorry, I could not travel both. And be one traveller, long I stood, and looked down one as far as I could, to where it bent in the undergrowth. Then took the other just as fair, and having perhaps the better claim, because it was grassy and wanted wear. Though as for that, the passing there had worn them really about the same. And both that morning equally lay, in leaves no step had trodden black. Oh, I kept the first for another day. Yet knowing how way leads on to way, I doubted if I should ever come back. I shall be telling this with a sigh, somewhere ages and ages hence. Two roads diverged in a wood, and I took the one less travelled by, and that has made all the difference. So, what did you get out of the poem? Did you understand even a bit what we spoke about? Well, keep that in your mind and understand what the theme is all about. And I'm sure that will match your thought process. The Road Not Taken is an autobiographical poem. Once, the poet came across a junction when his path diverged into two, and he had to take a decision of which road to take. He stood there for a long time and gave a serious thought to each road. Then he decided to take the road which was less travelled. The reason for this was that it was grassy and as far as the condition of the road was concerned, both the roads were equally worn. He decided to keep the other road for some other time, though he knew that he might not be able to go back to that road. That morning, both the roads lay equally covered in leaves. No traveler had trodden on them that day. The poet felt that after ages, he would be telling with a sigh that both the roads diverged in a forest, and the decision of taking the less traveled road made all the difference in his life. Well, what do you think these two roads stand for? This is talking about the choices, the decisions that you make. This, forest is life. Okay, it's your life, and these are the different choices that you make. This is all, it's like metaphor. It is being compared. We will see further. So this is what he's telling you. He's saying the road, he takes the road which has been less traveled by. Now, people have options, it all depends on the right choice. And the right choice you make when you are, when you have all the idea. Now, for example, you're in grade 9. Okay, after 10th, you have to make a decision. Should I go in for science? Should I go for humanities? Should I, go for commerce like BBA or something like that? Now, you have to make the right choice depending on your potentials, on your capabilities, right? So the decision is a major thing to be done. You have to watch where you are heading and where you are supposed to head. So yeah, let's move on and see what all we are going to yet go further with. So here, like, he has given the gist and the entire poem is based on this theme. Let us go further line by line to understand it way more. But before that, let me talk about the poetic devices that have been used in this poem, and these are the definitions of all the poetic devices that have been used in this poem. You need, in case you don't understand anything, please come back to this slide and refer to the same. So we'll just go through it. Alliteration. Now, it is a repetition of the initial letter, generally a consonant, of several words marking the stressed syllable in a line of a poem. I'll give you one simple example of the same. Betty bought a butter, the butter was too bitter. So it's burr, burr, burr. It's a repetition of the sound of the first letter. That is alliteration. Anaphora, it is repeating a sequence of words at the beginnings of the neighboring clauses. So on the beginning of every line, you will find the same words. And this, so it's a repetition of the same words. It's a sequence of words which are being repeated where at the beginning of the line. Metaphor, it is a word or phrase. It is used to represent something else. Here, like, they are talking of the two roads, but is actually representing life and the decisions that we have to make. So that's metaphor. Personification is projection of characteristics that normally belong only to humans onto inanimate objects. So what is it here? The non-living things, the inanimate objects are being given the quality of humans. Yeah. So when you say the daffodils sway, they move, they dance. The daffodils don't dance, humans dance, right? So it is personification. It is being personified. Repetition, it is a repetition of words to secure emphasis. So quite a few times the same word is repeated in the same line 2 or 3 times. That's repetition. Simile is used to compare things with familiar things. Here you will always find the words like or as to show the comparison. Then you have symbolism. It uses symbols, be they words, people, marks, locations, or abstract ideas to represent something beyond the literal meaning. So here they use symbols. They can be in the form of words, maybe people, maybe marks, locations, any of that, or maybe even an abstract idea. Synecdoche is part of something, is used to signify the whole or vice versa. You know, it either the part represents the whole or the whole represents a part of it. That's synecdoche. So when we go through ahead, you know, with the meanings, as in with the lines, you will understand better. So let's move further and get to know it all. The first lines. Two roads diverged in a yellow wood, and sorry, I could not travel both. Diverged as in they are separated and they took a different direction. Like you saw the picture in the first, it is taking two directions. It is getting diverged. And be one traveler, long I stood, and looked down one as far as I could. Looked down as in I observed, I viewed, I was thinking which one should I take. So I looked down. To where it bent in the undergrowth. Undergrowth are the dense growth of plants and bushes. It bent again in the undergrowth. Then took the other just as fair and having perhaps the better claim. Because it was grassy and wanted wear. Wanted wear as in it had not been used. Not many people had travelled on that road. Though, as for that, the passing there had worn them really about the same. Now here you got the difficult words of your first 10 lines, right? Now let's move further to see what each line is telling us. The poet was standing at a junction where the road forked into two as in divided into two. It was a forest full of yellow leaves due to the autumn season. As the poet could not travel both the roads, he stood there for a long time. Now he was one and he had two roads. So obviously he could not divide himself into two. He had to choose any one. As the poet could not travel both the roads, he stood there for a long time, deciding which road to take. He looked down at one road and as far as he could to where it bent and disappeared in the wild bushes. Now he stood there, he observed. Now where are both the roads leading to? Which one should he take? And then he says, it bent and it disappeared in the wild bushes. After viewing both the roads, the poet decided to take the second road because it was grassy and had not been travelled by many. The poet was adventurous and wanted to travel on the road which had not worn off. Now what he does was, he decided to take the second road. He thought that was a better choice to make. Why? Because it was yet grassy and not many people had walked on that road. As far as the passing of traveller was concerned, both the roads had worn in the same manner. Somewhere he said, when he went ahead and he realized that somehow, somewhere it's all the same. Both the roads, he felt he's making a better choice, but that was not the case. It was all the same. We always feel we are making the right choice, but then eventually when you get to know, especially when you have these diversions. Now, if you look at this, this is actually the literal meaning, right? But what is the abstract meaning connected to the poem? What is the poem actually trying to tell you? Here the poem is talking about your life and the two choices. Now you are in a situation where you have two alternatives, you have two options, and you have to know which option is best for you. So you stand there, you keep thinking, you keep analyzing that should I take this option A or option B? What would suit me better? You think over it, you realize what are the pros and cons, what are the advantages and disadvantages if I take option A, and what are the advantages and disadvantages if I take option B. Now this is the same scenario. You are at that junction. You feel if I take option A, that's way better for me. So let's move on with option A. Now you have moved on with option A. Now you know it. You know it that road, that one option will lead to many other options. So maybe you don't have time to come back to it. Now, like I said, the example before also, where you are going in for humanities. You went up. Now humanities took you way further to other options. You thought maybe let me try it, let me do it, and then I'll come back, then maybe I shall try commerce. That's not the way we make decisions, right? We definitely take one and then we stick to it. We move ahead with it. This is exactly what the poet is trying to tell us. Stick to your decision and keep moving on. There is no looking back after that. Yeah, so this is what he's trying to tell us. Now, looking at the poetic devices, we first shall look at the rhyme scheme. A, B, A, B. Now, if I look at the paragraph, it is A, B, A, B. Can you see this? Two roads diverged in a yellow wood, A, both, and sorry, I could not travel both, B. Now, would and both is not rhyming. So, this is A, this is B. And B, one traveler, long I stood. Now, would and stood is rhyming. So, this was A, so this is also A. And looked down one as far as I could. So, now you see would, stood and could. They are rhyming. So, A. Both and growth. Okay, both and growth are rhyming. So, B. So, what is the rhyme scheme here? A, B, A, B. That's the rhyme scheme that has been used. And also, in case there was no rhyme scheme at all in the poem, what would that be called? It would be a free verse. Please remember this. This is very important, especially when you get this in, your comprehensions. When you have a comprehension, an unseen poem, in that case, when you are asked the rhyme scheme, which you are generally asked, that is the time you need to see. You check the rhymes just the way I did, the rhyming words. And then if there are no rhyming words at all throughout the poem, then in that case, the poet has not used a rhyme scheme. It is called a free verse. Please remember that. Yes? So now you saw the rhyme scheme, how we had got it as per the rhyming words. Now, moving to your poetic devices in the lines 1 to 10. Now, if I say two roads diverged in a yellow wood. Now, here it is metaphor where it is being compared. Yeah, the two roads and the yellow wood. Here there is a sort of a comparison being happening. That is the reason it is metaphor, and you don't find, the words like and as you find in a simile. Metaphor is also a comparison, but without using the words like and as. Now, if I look at right here, simile, then took the other just as fair. Can you see the word as? Now, in case of a simile where again there is a comparison, yeah. Now, here you took the other just as fair. Here you are talking about the road. The other means the other road, yeah. And here it is just as fair. As that road was way better. That's where we felt it. So here the word as has been used. So when you get the words like or as, it's a simile. Here it is not. The words are not there, but the comparison is happening. Talk of symbolism. Two roads diverged in a yellow wood. Now this is symbolizing your decisions, your two options. And the yellow wood is talking about your life. It is symbolizing. Yeah, we said no abstract or people or marks or locations. This is exactly, we spoke of that. If you still get confused, please refer to the definitions in the previous slide. Then we spoke of anaphora. You remember anaphora, we said the beginning, the words in the beginning will be repeated. Yeah. So, and sorry, I could not travel both, and be one traveler, long I stood, and looked down one as far as I could. So all your lines are being, using the same word in the beginning of the line. There we are using anaphora. Simile, we just spoke about personification, because it was grassy and wanted wear. Personification, let me recall the definition. It is an inanimate object, a non-living thing getting the quality of a human. Now, wanted wear means it had to be used, right? Now, we cannot talk about a road being used. right? It is an inanimate object. Here it is personification because it is being personified with a human quality of being used. Alliteration, remember the repetition of the initial words, the sound of the consonant. So you see, though, that, the, there. It is alliteration. Why? T, 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 T. It is being repeated. Yeah, that is alliteration. So I guess you're clear with all the figures of speech which have been used in the lines 1 to 10. Moving to the next set of lines. And both that morning equally lay, in leaves no step had trodden black. Oh, I kept the first for another day, yet knowing how way leads on to way, I doubted if I should ever come back. So trodden black as in stepped on or walked by. You know, no leaves had trodden black. Nobody had stepped on them and they were fresh as they were. I shall be telling this with a sigh, somewhere ages and ages hence in the near future. Two roads diverged in a wood, and I took the one less traveled by, and that has made all the difference. Now, let's move on to the explanation of the same. Now, this is the literal meaning. We shall also discuss the abstract. What is the poet actually conveying to us? What is the message? Both the roads lay in the same condition in front of the poet that morning. No leaf had been crushed black, as no one had passed from both the roads that morning, and both of them were covered with leaves. Now, when he came in the morning to take, the decision that he had made, he went to get to on that road, but he realized they were all the same. The poet decided to go back on the first road some other day, although he knew that one way leads to another and had the doubts if he would ever be able to travel on the first road. He was not sure. He says, okay, today let me go for, option A, road A. Maybe I'll come back someday and also visit road B and see what that has in store for me. But then he realizes that, this road, if I take road A will lead me to somewhere else. The way leads to another. And I doubt if I ever will get that time, to come back and go back on road B. The poet was not sure about the success of his choice. He doubted his choice. He was not sure whether if I am taking this road where people have not traveled, not many people have traveled, am I making the right choice? Am I making the right decision? He thought he might regret about his decision of traveling on the second road, and he might tell about it with a sigh. He says, maybe someday, sometime in the near future, I might land up, regretting that, oh, I should have taken the same road which many people took. I shouldn't have, used this. He again talked about the two roads from which he selected the one which was less traveled by, and the choice made all the difference in his life. It all depended. The choice, what was the choice he made? How did it actually make a difference in his life? Students, this is what the poet is trying to convey to us. We have two options like I told you earlier. You have chosen option A. You feel maybe someday, sometime, you might come back and think of the second alternative. But let me tell you, the moment you step on this, now let's talk of music. Okay, just let's talk of maybe you land up, learning an instrument. Now you have two options. You want to learn a guitar or you want to learn a violin. Now you pick up the choice of, the guitar. You say, okay, guitar is more trendy. Let me go for it. And maybe once I master learning guitar, I might come back, to learn the violin. So you start taking the classes for guitar. And you master it. You go so beautifully ahead in it, and that leads you to concerts. You become way famous. You start singing. You get into real competitions. Do you have the time to ever come back? Oh, maybe someday I might learn the violin. But my dear friends, it is not possible. You went there because that one, decision of yours took you on to many other things. The choice that you made that day, the choice that you make today, makes you what you are, what you will become in the future. Today, what I am, today me as a teacher, if I am here because of the decision I had made a few years back. What choice you make actually makes you what you are. So never doubt your decisions. Don't think, oh, I'm sure. You don't doubt, because see, your instinct, your gut feeling tells you, the inner conscious, it gives you an answer. Sit quietly and listen to it. When you're confused, when you are very confused about the options, which one should I take? Please close your eyes and just listen to your heart. Sometimes, yes, you have to be very practical. I'm not saying, you have to be emotional all the time, but also be practical. Think over it. Think, shut your eyes and think quietly over it. Is this the right choice? Will this benefit me? What are the pros and cons both the ways? Somewhere, sometime, you get this answer from your heart. And I'm telling you, that really goes well. After that, never think twice. Don't think that, okay, this is a better choice for me. It's all fine, because that decision will still take you furthermore. It will take you ahead. It will take you towards your career. So please, don't, get stuck. Don't get confused. Just clear your thoughts. The fog in your head, just clear it out. Think it over and make the right decision. Just like you have made the right decision of choosing virtually, I'm sure you will never repent. We will never let you. Yes? So, what is this poem actually giving you in the figures of speech for lines 11 to 20? Again, you have the rhyme scheme, A, B, A, B. It's the same thing. You want to see that again? Okay, let's see. And both that morning equally lay, that's A. In leaves no step had trodden black. Now lay and black are not rhyming words. So this becomes A and this becomes B. Oh, I kept the first for another day. Now can you see, lay and day are rhyming words. So if this is A, this is also A. Yet knowing how way leads on to way, another rhyming word. So lay, day and way. A. I doubted if I should ever come back. Now black and back are same rhyming words. So B and B. So you see the rhyming scheme again here is A, B, A, B. Right? And talking about the literary devices, the poetic devices. Synecdoche, in leaves no step had trodden black. Now here step is not a step, it actually means a person who takes a step. So it is symbolizing, it is standing for something else actually. That's synecdoche. Repetition, the words are being repeated. Way, ages. I told you the same word shall be repeated in the same line. So it is repetition. Then metaphor, two roads diverged in a wood and I. Two roads metaphor again are the two alternatives, two options. Symbolism, they are standing. Now here they are symbolizing. Here they are being compared. Here they are being symbolized. Two roads are talking about the two options. Alliteration, and all. A. It is being repeated. The first letter is being repeated. The sound of the consonant. So it is an alliteration. Right? Now that brings us to the end of the poem, and here we go. Look for chances to take the less traveled roads. There are no wrong turns. Very well put up by Brad Paisley. Now it's not necessary that whatever decision you take, you need to doubt it. Please don't do that, because that actually lands you up, in a position where you still grow. So stop doubting it, Instead, whatever decision you have made, just stay firm on it. Just stick to it. Don't doubt it. Oh, I took this, but my friend did that. have I taken the right decision? Oh my God. What will happen is, according to, this thing, that doubt in your mind, then you will start seeing everything negative. You will say, oh, humanities wasn't good, I should have gone in for commerce, I should have taken a BBA, I don't know, I'm not liking this. All the wrong things will come in your mind. So don't do that. Whatever decision you have made, whatever, stick to it. Actually concentrate on it, and it will lead you to another better way. So don't worry, you will never have to come back. You will never have to regret, never repent. Just like right now, I guarantee you, you will never repent using this application, right? So for the same, keep watching and keep learning.